Hello, all, and welcome to week number 4 of season 1 at Odyssey Esports, season 1 of 2024. We had some issues last week, but fingers crossed, everything is going to be fixed this time around, and we will be bringing you the 2 games of the week with caster commentary, the voices of myself and Claire. Claire is joining the broadcast today. How are you doing on this fine evening?
I mean, I'm doing pretty excellent, I would say. Haven't really done too much. Been watching a lot of esports. A lot of stuff happening today. LCS just finished up, so we got those teams for MSI. But yeah, I mean, getting into this one of Sky Splitters and Orange Only fans should be a pretty exciting match. A lot of things to consider. Some substitutes on both of the, or on at least Orange Only fans, that bot lane is completely different than their usual one. But anything that's standing out to you between these two teams before we even hop into the rifts?
Well, alongside Ape, Sky Splitters looks like a team that could be one of the strongest teams of the 5 in this season. They have a 2-1 record. They're just coming off of a win against, I believe it was the Essence Thieves last week. And yeah, I'm looking to see how well they do against Orange Only fans, who I believe as well, also coming off of a win. So confidence boost in week 3 for both of these teams, and then we'll see if it can carry forward to them. We'll look at the draft here. I'm not seeing, let's take it's actually a Caitlyn pick. That's the first thing that that brings about my attention. Caitlyn hasn't been having a lot of love in the meta recently, but it'll be interesting to see if the value can be found with this pick. There's a lot of hard engage too on the side of Orange Only fans. J4 and Kennen slicing Maelstrom Cataclysm. Lots to do in the team fighting situation. Now on the other side, Claire, what are you seeing for the Sky Splitters?
What's bringing my attention is just this A-stall, right? It's a very uh, I don't want to say unique pick, but not one that we see too often, and I think it will have a pretty tough matchup against the Syndra in mid. It just seems a bit hard to really do anything, especially in that early game, without scaling a whole bunch, and I don't think Syndra is necessarily one of those control mages that just want to sit back, relax, and farm without at least throwing some spells at you. But besides that, I mean, we got a strong top side with that Mordekaiser and that Poppy. I think that top lane matchup versus the Kennen will be pretty exciting. 2 AP champions in the top lane, not something you normally see all the time. So interesting to see how that one plays out. But yeah, I mean, besides that, I don't really have anything else to say here.
Yeah, I like the analysis with the mid lane matchup. Syndra will have to try and at least shut down Aurelion Sol a little bit, making sure that this champion isn't just smooth sailing to that late game Exodia, because we all know how powerful Aurelion Sol can be in the late game. The massive ultimate, it blasts through the rift, so much damage. And that is something that this Syndra is going to want to prevent and can do it, has the range advantage, has the chance to pick off the Aurelion Soul with the stun, Scout of the Week, and those things. I want to see if the Mordekaiser can potentially mitigate value of slicing Maelstrom with the Death Realm, taking the Kennen out of that fight. It's a big asset to the Orange OnlyFans team. And I think if I'm the Mordekaiser, that's going to be generally my goal. The laning phase might be rough. It is range versus melee, depending on how involved the junglers get in that lane. It should be Kennen favored for the moment, but if I'm Mordekaiser, that's what I'm focusing on. And another X factor, I believe, for Orange OnlyFans is the Caitlyn pick. I'm going to go back to it. This is a champion that does scale nicely, but you really do want to win your lane. You want to get tower plates. You want to move around the map and use your lead to apply more pressure. Because if you do fall behind, it feels really hard to play a champion like Caitlyn from behind, and she doesn't like to be in that position. So bot lane success definitely going to be an X factor for Orange OnlyFans. And I think with after all of these things that we were talking about, I think we are just about ready to head into the game.
I would completely agree. Just hop in here, get on the Rift, and see what's going on. I can't expect too much off the start, but could see an invade. We do love those here at Odyssey Esports. So maybe I wouldn't say either of these teams level 1 is necessarily super strong. Would probably favor Orange Only fans on that mark.
They
But
have a little bit more of a reliable hook. They have two hook
yeah,
supports.
which
Yeah, the
is nice to
Nautilus
see.
is easier, but it could end up being a stack. That's the one thing, is that both of these teams might think the other is going to invade, so they might stack the bush. The other might just straight up go for the invade, and that's exactly what Orange OnlyFans is going to do. They're trying to predict the invade with the Thresh, but I don't think there's going to be anybody home. It could be like reverse. I don't know if it's reverse psychology or reverse psychology. Maybe Sky Splitters is thinking they're probably going to stack the bush, thinking that we're going to invade, so let's just chill out. I don't know what the thought process is, but yeah, not going to be any deaths, I don't think, before the minions spawn.
Yeah, Sky Splitters is just sitting in river, making sure they don't get invaded on their own part. Having that ward down in Tribush, they seem pretty safe at the moment, and it does seem that D-Musa is going to make their way back up to this top lane, but Mordekaiser are going to get a deep ward here on that top side red buff, so definitely a lot of information that can be held there and can cause a ton of problems here for TSM is garbage. I mean, that's a pretty strong ward there.
It's going to spot him out when he's on top of his red buff, and so that will give information to Phaser on where the J4 is, and just he feels a little bit safer in that top side. Sometimes you throw a ward inside of your tri-brush, but you don't really know where the J4 is. Is he coming up the river? Is he going to actually take that path through the tri-brush? That ward in the red buff kind of lets you know, okay, they're in the general area of topside. I should probably play a little bit further back and just understand that the jungler is actually topside. Like, this is confirmed and no crazy pathing has been taken. And that's essentially what that ward accomplishes. We're going to see both junglers. It's actually a full clear, so I'm going to hold the phone here. There's a Flay in the bot side. Level 2 is hit from Keo. Is taking a lot of damage, but the level 2 here for Keo and Ronnie World should keep him safe for the moment. Another level 2 hit for both Druber and Supro, so Druber going to be looking for the hook here onto Keo, is going to find it despite the flash. The vertical flash does not protect you from the Nautilus hook. The flash forward to find the route onto Ronnie World, who did drop the exhaust onto Supro, who's dropping dangerously low. The fully stacked Plasma is going to do the job for Ronnie. First Blood will go the way of Sky Splitters in the bot lane.
And we were actually talking to Druber a little bit before about the performance of the Nautilus, because Supro and Drubert are both not players of Orange OnlyFans, so we could see a couple, maybe overheats there, as they aren't the normal bot lane duo. But I mean, it was a close one, but just not going in the way there. Maybe a few more auto attacks landing your way, a few more spells, but unfortunately to see, and the CS lead is quite a big gap, but I'm sure Caitlyn will catch up here after the CS is gathered on that wave, but nothing else necessarily happening quite yet. Jarvan is invading, not invading, I just thought he was a blue side Jarvan, but he is not.
Nope, he is not. On that red side is the Jarvan. And I want to point out that this is a fleet footwork Caitlyn. And so in elongated fights, Ronnie World's Kai'Sa, because he decided to take lethal tempo in the runes, it's a very common rune to take on Kai'Sa, going to be able to deal more damage over time. And I think that was part of the reason why the Sky Splitters bot lane was able to win out in that 1v1. On top of the fact that Ronnie also decided to take exhaust in those runes. Now we're going to look at a potential gank mid. The Scout of the Week does land, but that means small PB Weave does not have that tool to push away the Poppy. The Flash Heroic Charge will find the stun. They just need to find a little bit more damage. That last auto attack will go through and Thrasher will find the kill. And now Guilty Free Soul drifting immediately to his doom. Got a bit overconfident there in the 2v1 and is going to suffer for it. Druber on the roam finds the hook. Excellent stuff from the support of Orange OnlyFans, but do they find the kill? They do. That last Q from the Jarvan will finish it off. It ends up being a 2, or actually a 1-for-1, or 2-for-1 actually, in favor of Orange OnlyFans.
Yeah, 2-for-1. The Jarvan getting there at the perfect time. Unfortunately, not saving small PPE there, but still picking up 2 kills, and that's pretty important, especially to get your team back into this one. You are falling a little bit far behind, but does seem the numbers, the gold lead, the kills have all evened out here. But in this bot lane, it's still that Kai'Sa getting quite the CS advantage there. Farming a little bit better than Subro. I guess just it's a bit harder to put the pressure on if you do have a Nautilus other than a Thresh here. You have to commit a little bit more on your dives. And that could be a reason why Subro feels a bit more just like contained there. But the Poppy, looking in that bot side jungle, seeing if they can get anything, get a ward down near those Gromp, seeing if they can catch out TSM's garbage, and I don't know if they did, but just trying their best to.
Yeah, it's good priority that Sky Splitters have in this bot side. They might be able to translate it into a Drake. If Kai'Sa can maintain the push on Caitlyn, this is great for them. I talked earlier about how Caitlyn likes to have a dominant lane phase, and if you're going even with a Kai'Sa, I have to favor the Kai'Sa going forward, especially when we talk about the fleet footwork versus lethal tempo runes. Lethal tempo has much more value in the later stage of the game than fleet footwork, which is more oriented to that laning phase. But now, yeah, we're looking at the positioning of the junglers. A reset came through for TSM, and on the bot side is Thrasher at the Krug camp, and the wave is actually pushing in for Supro and Drubert, so we could potentially see a gank here. Thrasher actually has this Hex Flash and is going to use it to get into the lane. There is Flash on Supro, but Drubert's actually just going to tank the hook and take the fall for his 80 carry. The W is going to land, and Ronnie World gets himself his second kill of the game.
Just a great gank there to find onto the Nautilus, and it does seem Poppy might go back around, still hang around in that bush, but it's going to be a lot harder as Subro has the defense of the turret here. Not the greatest wave clear, so a dive could be imminent.
Yeah, Supro is going to have to flash this heroic charge, is going to pop the ghost. The heroic charge does land, the stun lands, and the death sentence as well. Killing spree for Ronnie World, perfect setup on the dive, gets them a third kill and gets them further dominant in this bot lane.
Further dominant. Drubert just trying to do anything as Small PP Weave is rotating.
And Small PP Weave is here, going to land the stun. It looks like Keo got a bit too over-aggressive, and Ronnie World has a bounty. Remember, going to try and give it to that Syndra, but the excellent sidestep from Ronnie. I told Drubert I would flame him for that, but I think I have to give credit for the Kai'Sa. That was an excellent sidestep there. I think it was a sidestep. I mean, maybe it was just a miss, but for the moment, we'll give the credit to Kai'Sa. The play is trying to be continued here from the J4 and the Syndra, but there is nothing to be found. Thrasher's going to walk away nice and clean. But we do see a roam here from the top side. Here comes the Kennen, is going to try and find the Slicing Maelstrom. Now, I cannot save you on that one, D-Muda. That was a little bit of a blunder. Not going to get much value as the Aesol moves over the wall.
Yeah, that was a rough all in there from D-Muda, but you know what? Tried the best, and gonna try to not do that next time, I'm sure. But the Dragon is probably just gonna go over to Orange OnlyFans here, getting this objective up on the board. Got the 3 grubs there earlier top side as the dive bot was happening, so is getting some cross-map value, even if they are falling behind on the kills a little bit, but I'm not too sure how much they can keep this up if they continue to just succumb to this wave pressure and not able to hold their waves out.
So for the moment, Orange OnlyFans has the neutral objectives on lock. I believe it was TSM is garbage to grab those 3 grubs. Yeah, you can actually see it. I forget that you can see it on the scoreboard now. I'm still getting used to that as it is still a fairly new addition to the game. But yes, 3 grubs and the Ocean Drake secured for Orange OnlyFans. So they are losing in this bot side for the moment, but they do have this win condition to fall back on if they can continue to secure them for themselves. So a little bit of a saving grace for them. We're going to take a look at, I'm just going to take a look at the lane states right now. We have pretty even for Mordekaiser against the Kennen, who is a range champ and would traditionally give the Mordekaiser a hard time. So that feels pretty good for the melee champ heading into the mid game. The CS is actually 18 in favor of the ASOL as well, so the scaling looks great for that champion so far. And we talked about the bot side, 3 kills for Ronnie. Things are looking good for Sky Splitters. I think the only thing that they need to patch up for the moment, and it's not really a problem right now, that they need to worry about, it will be in a few minutes, is those dragons and those void grubs. They want to be able to start contesting those objectives. And now we're going to see a fight at the red buff here in the Orange OnlyFan jungle. TSM is garbage, gonna have to flash away from that pull, but Phaser flashes forward and finds the Death Realm, gets him right in there, as now Dimuda uses the ultimate, bursts down the Poppy for the moment, but isn't enough damage to finish off the kill, and Guilty Free Soul is first here from the mid lane, and they get themselves that kill.
Just the trades going over to Sky Splitters is so well, being able to disengage that fight, and everyone should just live and get out of there, even though they were so deep into that jungle, which is just such a great dive on their part. But finding ourselves back here in this bot lane, just trading out all 4 members here, level 6, so needing to watch out for a dive potentially. And I think at this point in the game, I mean, it's kind of rough to say who's going to be advantageous. The Kai'Sa does have just another component, so would be favoring her, but it is looking like Suprush is going to be backing here, going to be buying up, trying to get back to lane, and hopefully get some equal trades out here and not fall too far behind, because they are 0-4 to that 3-1 bot lane, so kind of a rough start for these two.
Yeah, it is a rough start. That will be the focal point here for Sky Splitters, is to leverage that lead in the bot side. We do see about 3 seconds left before the next set of grub spawn, so we'll be keeping our eyes on the minimap to see if these teams are moving towards that objective or not, and whether Orange OnlyFans can get those patented 6 grubs or not. Even if they get 5, they can still get that Void Might spawn when they're near the turret, so keep our eyes on that. But for the moment in the bot river, we do have a fight. Kyo gonna drop the box to keep themselves safe. There's the ace in the hole. Combine it with the stat of the week to find the first kill. Thrasher's gonna flash away, but you can't flash from the Syndra outplay button. It will get you either way. Guilty Free Soul next on the menu here for Orange OnlyFans. This is a play that's going to turn the game right around for them. 3 kills to your mid laner. You don't ask for anything better.
A massive fight to go in the favor of Orange OnlyFans. That gets them right back into the game. The Dragon not up yet to get that or secure that, but we do see those top grubs, and it does seem that TSM is garbage is waltzing their way right up there, and the trades are finally favoring Orange OnlyFans. Maybe the wave pressure isn't, but what a big fight for them there.
Yeah, and the key thing was that Ronnie World wasn't there, so that was a key member of their team who's the strongest right now that wasn't present for that fight, which is the reason why Orange OnlyFans found so much success. They're also getting these plates too. They get the 6 grubs. There's a lot for them to get, but they may have overextended. Now Kyo going to use the flash, going to find the play. The death sentence will miss, but I believe he's locked in both Supro and Druber into this fight. Supro going to try and deny the kill, going the way of the Poppy and the Kai'Sa, but not going to be able to do so. It actually ends up just being a 1-for-0, so a bit of a blunder, but not as bad as it could have been.
Rupert did get out of there, so that's good to see, but still, Ronnie World is just scaling, and scaling incredibly fast, and that's what you really need to watch out here. Try to take those fights as long as Ronnie World isn't there. I mean, if he is, you're just kind of going to lose that team fight. A bit too much damage on the Kai'Sa, and especially if they continue to scale and don't get shut down, I don't really think anyone can match that.
Oh, Supro is going to get hit with that classic in between the brush, or in between the tower rather, play. hiding in the brush, waiting for the ADC to walk up. You're in no man's land there. Drubert wasn't quite there. The recalls were desynced, and that is going to be a very frustrating death. It's always the most frustrating thing. As a AD carry player myself, I have succumbed to that cheese in the bush a few times, and it is very tilting. So we'll need a mental check here on Supro after that one. There could be a fight breaking out here in the river. That is crazy. The Lantern got blocked by the depth charge, and Thrasher is going to be in an unadvantageous position because of that, but the fight has actually been turned around because Guilty Free Soul's ultimate does so much damage. Now going to drift right through that wall and pick up a second, and Small PP Weave is left to their own devices. Ace in the hole will come through, but the Ace is healthy enough to tank that one up, and this should be Drake going the way of Sky Splitters.
Oh yeah, it's going down incredibly fast. I don't know if anything can contest, but we are seeing TPs to come in here, trying to fight right after the Drake
scatter the weak. Slicing Maelstrom is huge as well. They find one kill, but Ronnie flashes over the wall. Guilty Free Soul should be able to get out of this one with the wall ride as well. But just standing still and deep. Okay, that is a Riot Games moment right there. Okay, the Dragon has a few kills, but what in the world was that? Just stand still, breathe Stardust all over the Caitlyn and taking him down. That was just pretty comical to look at.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of just like sums up Subro's game. We have here is just nothing going his way, and that's tough. That's a tough one. But like, if you look at it, I think the rest of the team is doing pretty well. Other than Supro, you know, just gotta mental reset into here, come into this, you know, second half of the game with a brand new mindset and a new look at the game. I mean, they're not far behind here, all things considered. Teams can definitely come back into this one, but still, if one player isn't trying to win or in that mindset of everyone else, it's kind of a rough one.
Yeah, it's a rough one. When you're in this position as Caitlyn, I talked about it earlier, it's hard to play from behind. You just feel useless. You don't really deal any damage. You want to deal your damage based off your abilities, but your abilities aren't really doing much. You just don't feel very strong, and it gets rough. But I was going to mention Kai'Sa. Yes, Ronnie World is fed, but it looks like a pretty tough game for Kai'Sa, to be honest. Syndra's got a lot of range. J4 can lock you in Cataclysm, and you'll have to use R to get out. And there's also the Kennen you have to think about, right? And the Nautilus. There's a lot of champions that will punish a low-range champion like Kai'Sa. The benefit is you can reposition with your ult and use that to your advantage. So despite Supro being behind, it still might be a difficult game for Ronnie as well, come the 5v5 team fights. Once Phaser and Dimuda start getting more involved in the game and they migrate away from that top lane island, it's going to be interesting to see if Ronnie Road can still make that level of impact that he has with this lead, or if it might just be the Guilty Free Soul show, if they'll just peel the dragon.
Yeah, just coming into this one here, we are seeing this fight that could be breaking out. I don't think there's going to be a fight on that Rift Herald, but it is just going to be taken down here by Sky Splitters. Drubert trying to get in there, trying to get a pig while that, you know, objective does go down. Kennen trying to do anything to stop that, but just not enough range there. It was taken a bit too far out of the pit. But coming into this one,
there's the scout of the week. This could be a kill if the Unleashed Power comes through. That last Q didn't hit, so the kill didn't go through. On the other side of the map, Dimuda could be in trouble. The pullback lands for Phaser. Slicing Maelstrom was used, but Dimuda is still in quite the bad position and going to drop because of it. And that will be the kill going the way of Sky Splitters in the top side.
And one of their saving grace here is that all these towers are, five of them, oh, that is just not what you want to see.
Excellent stuff from Guilty Free Soul and Ronnie World. There's the repositioning with the Killer Instinct I was talking about, able to pick up that kill. On the backside, though, Small PP, we found one. Scatter the weak onto Ronnie World, who's now out of position. No flash available. Shutdown goes the way of the Syndra, but Phaser has a TP of his own. Puts the Syndra in the Death Realm, and now Small PP Weave has nowhere to go. Drubert is next target for Sky Splitters. Can he find a wall ride to get out of this one? The death sentence lands, and the dredge line will not hit the wall to cancel it out, and Phaser will get the next kill. Top side, they're getting pressure. Sky Splitters is rolling.
Sky Splitters is dominating in this mid game here and needing to be slowed down, but I don't know who's really going to be the person to do it. I would, you know, put my eyes towards the Syndra, but I just don't know. She's too much of a burst champion. I feel like these champs, I mean, Poppy, Mord, Acel, kind of a bit too tanky to deal with, and Thresh. Like, your target would have to be Ronnie World, but even then, if their Ronnie World's positioning is good enough, it's very difficult to get on top of you.
And Cinder's not really a carry champion. She does carry games, quote unquote, but she's not a champion that can really 1v9 because she doesn't have DPS. She can't hit multiple targets and carry a fight the way an ADC can. You're kind of good for one, and then you're waiting on cooldown. So when you're in a position where you're really the only strong member on your team, it doesn't really matter. You're still in a bad spot. You're still probably going to lose out in the fight. So that's going to be the obstacle that Orange OnlyFans is going to have to navigate around. They're huddling around this next neutral objective, which is that Chemtech Drake. And Small PvP, you need to be careful. Death Sentence does go wide, but Phaser finds the pull in, and there is no flash on that Syndra, so is going to drop immediately. There is the Skies Descend, which is going to cause an absolute crater inside of Summoner's Rift. A double kill for the Dragon. The rest of Orange OnlyFans is on the run. Demuda does not have the Slicing Maelstrom. Keo will find that kill. The Dragon is drifting into the rest of the fight. This could have been a pentakill steal. Keo, you stole the pentakill. I am tilted if I'm guilty, free soul, but I am still happy that this game is looking like a W so far.
Looking like it should really end here in the next, like, 7-8-ish minutes. Gonna be picking up this Chemtech Drake, gonna be getting this mid-tier 1. I mean, could extend your push. Maybe get up on this tier 2, but with the respawns right now, maybe just getting some hits off and backing off here. We are going to see 20 minutes rolling around. Baron going to be coming up, and it's looking like if that fight does inevitably break out, it's just going to favor the Sky Splitters here pretty heavily. The Sky Descent was used, so that is something that's positive. So Acel shouldn't have that up for, a couple more minutes at least, and needing to probably pick your fight before that does come down.
I think the problem with Orange OnlyFans this game is, number one, they're behind in gold. And that's what's hurting them in these fights, on top of the fact that their team composition requires a lot of coordinated execution. You have clear-cut conditions to win a fight. You need a big cannon ult. You needed Caitlyn to have a dominant lane phase for her to be relevant in this game. And those conditions really haven't been met just yet, whereas the other side is we do see a 1v1 happening. Phaser has not put Demuda into the Death Realm, doesn't have access, actually does have access to the ability, didn't decide to use it. But I think there's less execution that needs to be done on the side of Sky Splitters when it comes to a fight. It's kind of just every man for himself, and Asol's drifting through walls and doing his own thing. They don't really need as much coordination, and I think that's helping them there. It's a little bit easier for them. Rupert is going to be caught out here inside of the jungle, going for those wards. It can be very deathly when you don't have control over your own jungle, and we see exactly how that works right there. They may move towards the Baron after another play in the jungle, as Phaser's going to use that Blast Cone to find an excellent angle, finds the pull onto 2, and Ronnie World's right into the middle of it. Got a bit too aggressive there, mispositioned, and that will end up being a 1-for-1 in the elongated play for the side, or for both of these teams.
Yeah, if I was them, I would just start up this. I mean, Ronnie World is dead, which is obviously not great to see, but I still think they're favored quite heavily on this Baron fight. Having Mordekaiser up to R that Jarvan if they need to, I mean, it seems like a kind of a foolproof lane. You also have Poppy R. It seems that their team fight around these objectives is just so astronomically better than Orange OnlyFans that I would be pretty scared here. Nobody on this side going to be picking up a QSS, which makes a lot of sense. They are pretty far behind. You can only usually afford that or make the point if you are ahead. But yeah, it's just going to be a phaser, split pushing, getting these towers, getting this pressure down on the map, and making this so much more difficult, especially since Baron is up.
Yeah, they have the priority over the side lane. So on top of team fight domination, they also have the side lanes. We're going to see a 1v3, but make it a 1v1 because remember, this is Mordekaiser and he will have his alone time with TSM as garbage to try and get that first kill. But in the end, not going to be able to find it and is going to come out of the Death Realm and get greeted by 4 members of Orange OnlyFans, and they successfully find this pick, although the trade is going to be made in the mid lane. So still, it is Sky Splitters finding their moments and their trades.
Yeah, I mean, it's that Mordekaiser still got 700 gold from getting that tower, and Sky Splitter's only getting back, I mean, 750, but a big pick to come out of them. And that's not what you want to see. Small PP Weave getting caught in between the towers. Supra, I'm sure, feels that pain. And just what can you do? You have to maneuver around this map as 4 because you can't really contest one of these players. I'm so close to getting that Gromp there, but yet so far.
Yeah, there's like literally nothing you can do. Like this kind of position, if played properly from Sky Splitter's end, is really impossible for Orange Only fans to come back from it. They need a Hail Mary Baron steal. I don't know. They need Sky Splitters to misplay. You just saw like Syndra can't defend that tier 3 turret because they just rotate from mid lane and kill her between the tower. And you have to play back, you have to give these towers, and then they have all the side lane pressure. It's just all amounting to a Sky Splitters win, and that is the very likely case here. The only way that Orange Only fans can probably find themselves anything is through the steal of a neutral objective. Finding picks if someone's way overextended, getting some shutdowns into some carries, and then working with that momentum. But that's a very small chance of happening. It probably will just come down to a Baron and an end for Sky Splitters, but they haven't really been able to start that up yet. They're still working on it.
Still just trying to get this lane pressure, which they have in all 3 lanes, and they have this push, but still not deciding to do anything. They're opting to value this Chemtech Drake a little bit more than the Baron, which does make a lot of sense. It's probably going to be a more free objective, and it's not going to cost them nearly as many resources as a Baron would, which makes a lot of sense. Making the smart plays here, Sky Descend is in the hands here of Guilty Free Souls, so this team fight for Only fans is gonna be not great. I can't imagine. Gonna be extremely uncomfortable and needing to find a crazy angle to get into this, but it's just so unlikely.
It's unlikely, and I like what Sky Splitters are doing. They're starting up the Baron, they're forcing Orange Only fans' hands, and it's not going to be a contest from the looks of it. TSM is garbage, isn't even remotely close to this objective, so they get it for free. But what they also could do, let's say Orange Only fans contested that, you just play for the fight. You don't go for the 50-50 because you know the only way they come back is through a steal. So you just play for the fight. You start hitting the Baron, you force them to walk over, and then you turn immediately onto them, and you either win the fight or you just get the Baron for free. It's a win-win situation if you play it right. And I think Sky Splitters is doing it quite well right now. Muda is going to be picked off in the bot side inevitably here. I don't think there's any way out. Does have teleport, but there's lots of CC on the Poppy and Thresh to cancel that if that play does try and come through. Now Phaser is overextended here inside of the mid lane. Is going to put TSM as garbage into the death realm. Can he find the kill before he comes out of it? Going to use the flash, but doesn't find the Q. And that should do it. TSM is garbage flashes away as well. Supro gets on the board there. And that will be the trade kill coming down in the bot side. Ronnie World going to pick that one up. Lots of action happening around the map. And doesn't necessarily favor any team so far.
Not really favoring any teams. I would still say that it is favoring the Sky Splitters. I mean, they're going to get so much push off of this, and needing to contest this, I mean, they don't really have wave clear at all. It kind of, the best, unfortunately, for them is, I guess it's probably Kennen, but he's got to go so far to clear that wave. And, I mean, Syndra is pretty okay, but especially against these larger, more, like, Baron buffed minions, it's just going to be so rough for them. Just trying to siege this base as much as possible, get their topside jungle, get this blue buff, get Gromp, you know, get Wolves. All the resources they still can that are just sitting on the map just to stop Orange Only fans and really suffocate them probably for the next couple of minutes. And if I was them, you have to make a play somewhere. You can't really just let the Sky Splitters just farm you for the next, I don't know, how many minutes, however much they decide before they just walk into your base and probably take all your towers. So it's not the most comfortable situation, but it's also almost impossible.
Now would be the right time to go for that play you're talking about, Claire, but unfortunately, Poppy's keeping the 80 carry safe. It was a flash expended from Ronnie World, so won't have access to that ability for a potential upcoming fight if it does happen. And it looks like that's exactly what we're going to get. Two-man pull from Phaser. That's going to be a Slicing Maelstrom coming down, but it's only going to be going on to one person. Supro does find the shutdown, and now Phaser puts Druber inside of the Death Realm. That is definitely a fight that he wins. On the other side, Guilty Free Soul wins the 1v1 against Small PP Weeb, so it is a 2-for-1 in favor of the Sky Splitters for the moment. Sky's Descend does land, finds that CC to apply the plasma, so Ronnie World can join up in that fight and finish off the kill. And this should, depending on how healthy they can keep this wave, be the end of the game 4 versus 2 for Sky Splitters.
Yeah, D, what are you really going to make happen here? I don't think anything. This Kennen just looking in such a difficult spot. The TP to come in here from Ward, so it's just not going to happen. It's looking a little bit over. The Nexus turret's falling. TSM's garbage back up.
Respawns did come through just in time. They couldn't quite clear out those towers fast enough. The hook, oh, Drubert, I can't really help you out on that one. That was a little bad. One went wide, but they do find the kill on Kyosuke, who was the target anyways. And the game isn't over yet, but the Nexus is exposed. The base has finally been cracked, and it should just take one more push. Maybe a fight at Chemtech Drake to end this one off. And yeah, Supro has hit 3 items, but it's a little bit too late. I'm sure Ronnie World is sitting on a ton of gold right now because there's no way the gold is even here on the bot side. Maybe those bounties were just really good, as Phaser's been found by Small PP Weeb, who doesn't really do any damage. That Spirit Visage plus the Mercury Treads makes that Mordekaiser almost completely immune to those attacks from the Syndra, as now Drubert tries to get deep vision, but Thrasher has caught him red-handed inside of the jungle. Level 16 Poppy to a level 11 Nautilus doesn't really seem like a fair fight. The Steadfast Presence doesn't even let Drubert hook away up to the wall to try and escape, as we're going to see another fight break out. There's just fights on fights on fights, and oh my goodness, Small PP Weeb just got their health bar decimated by that level 16 Aurelion Soul, and this should, because TSM is garbage is up in the top side, mean the Chemtech Soul will go the way of Sky Splitters, for sure.
Yeah, and all of these fights just look so incredibly uninspired, is the word I'm going to use here. I mean, they're just trying their best, but they really can't do anything just because they're so far behind. They can't really even fight them or deal damage to anybody on the side of Sky Splitters, so it's just so rough. The Nexus is open. They have to worry about 2 inhibs are down, so I mean, what are you really going to do here? You're going to try your best, see if they somehow misplay, but Small PP Weeb, I mean, say goodbye to your game here and just have a great screen for the rest of the game.
Have a great screen for the rest of the game. The fight will break out. Drubert's in the Death Realm with Phaser. TSM is garbage, trying to do their very best, but there's nothing really to do. Slicing Maelstrom is going to get about as much value as it's gotten all game, but it's a bit too late for that one. They're flexing their wallets on the Orange OnlyFans members, and they are going to be able to take out that Nexus and earn themselves a win in this week and get back-to-back week wins here in Season 1.
Well, Supro finding himself a triple kill there to end it off while they're trying to dive the turret. But yeah, Sky Splitters just an incredibly dominant performance. It was pretty close there at the earlier, but I mean, just getting the smaller advantages throughout the entire early game has really snowballed them into a pretty fantastic mid to late game. And I mean, that's just what's going to happen if you make those work. And everyone seemed to work pretty well together there and find the objectives that they needed to, and it really did pay off and showed them that they are pretty a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, exactly. This game definitely solidifies Sky Splitter's spot as a contender for the top. They are at the top at the current moment. We do have a game coming up next, which does feature Ape, who is 2-0, I believe. So we'll see if they can continue their dominance inside of this league. If I had to hand out an MVP for this game, I would give it to Guilty Free Soul on the Dragon. Did a very good job, lots of damage, constantly making an impact in the fights, and I'm going to hand my MVP award to that player. But for this game, it's over now. We have one more game remaining for the stream, and we'll bring you that in the coming moments just after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Game 2. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second game of week 4 at Odyssey Season 1. I am Ferris, joined by Claire on the broadcast if you are just joining us today. And we have Ape up against Beans. And Ape is 2-0. Beans has been struggling a little bit in the league. They're looking for a big upset today. Claire, what are your thoughts? First eyes on the draft.
First eyes in the draft, I mean, I'm just immediately looking over towards this bot lane of a Sivir Yumi. Not the ADC I would consider Yumi to go towards. More of like a hyperscaling, like fast, crazy movement champ, more like Zeri. Maybe even a Lucian. But Sivir, there's someone that really doesn't have any movement abilities and can't really reposition incredibly quickly. Not who I would think to see. But Yumi can still be incredibly good, incredibly impactful. But I mean, over on the other side here, I do think that bot lane is much more what I would say a bit more scary, especially if I was going into that. A Varus Thresh is very strong and would not want to be locked down or facing that bot lane. But yeah, I mean, besides that, it is interesting to see that we do get a set. I'm assuming that's top lane and we get a Maokai jungle. So set's always fun to see, and I think versus Volibear is going to be a pretty, I want to say, tough matchup. I feel like that is just going to not be the easiest thing in the world, but I mean, you just never know.
I think top lane is going to be a brawl. And I think both these teams have similar team compositions. Aside from the bot side, Varus Thresh is really strong in the early game. Varus does scale nicely. One of the more stronger AD carries in terms of overall strength, in terms of the length of the game and at different times. But Thresh Varus is stronger than Sivir Yumi in the early game. But what I do like about the Sivir Yumi is the fact that Thresh can't hook Yumi when she's attached to another champion, and Sivir has the spell shield. And that also creates problems for Varus's ultimate, the Chains of Corruption. That can also run into problems with spell shield. It's going to be hard to punish Sivir Yumi. And Sivir does scale nicely. You usually like to get high CS numbers, and that's your typical way of getting gold into your pocket to scale. You're not a champion that's going to be killing people very often. You're not that powerful in the early game. You don't have a lot of tools to kill people, but if you have a safe lane phase, that can be your avenue into scaling. I think an X factor here is going to be this top matchup because it looks so volatile. I think Volibear and Set are going to duke it out a lot. And then you have a double sort of, I mean, Ari isn't really a mage. She's more of a assassin slash mage. Hui is more of your traditional mage. It could get messy there. You could see Ari going for solo kills with her movement post 6, but I think my overall take for this game is there's two tank jungles. Don't really need to worry about that. They're both going to fulfill the same role in this team. I think if Varus Thresh can get a lead, it's good. If not, Sivir might have a really nice time in the late game. And the X factor will be this top matchup because of how bloody I think it will get. Just because of the nature of these two champions.
100%. I think that this mid matchup is going to be pretty difficult for the Hui. I think landing the abilities, they're not incredibly fast, and Ari does have quite a bit of move speed, especially using that W. So, kind of going to be a bit tough. I personally would probably favor this towards being more so, just based off draft, but obviously that's not always how the games go. But I mean, getting into this one, I really just have no idea what we are going to expect into this game here.
Well, we'll find out as we will get into game number 2. This is Ape versus Beans. And remember, Ape is a team that's 2-0 right now, yet to lose the game. They had a bye last week. And so Beans having the bye first week, I believe they're sitting at 1-2 at the moment. I think every team has gotten a win on the board. I could be mistaken, but Ape is going to be the favorite heading into this one. So we'll see if Beans can mount some type of comeback, or not a comeback, but an upset is the word I was actually looking for there. And we'll see if Ape can continue their dominance and their undefeated streak. They are going to stack the bush, but there's no one that's going to be home, similar to the way it worked last game.
Just waiting, seeing if we are going to get an invade, but not going to happen. And I would not consider Ape's invade to be too good. That Sivir could do a lot of damage, but probably not gonna see anything here. Just waiting in the river, playing and looking at all of these extremities to make sure they don't get snuck up on or flanked from behind. And I don't know if they will here, but yeah, Smoke gonna need to make their way right up to the top lane here at some point, and probably gonna miss or be late for a couple of those minions, as not gonna be in top lane anytime soon.
And you talked in drafts, Claire, about how Yuumi likes champions that are fast and are mobile. There really isn't a good Yuumi champion aside from the Sivir. Sivir does have movement speed, so that's something that Yuumi can synergize with well. But other than that, let's say Sivir falls too far behind and Yuumi wants to find a different target to stay on. Sometimes you have a jungle champion like a Graves or a Kindred that you can sit on and help them carry the game. There isn't really a great champion. There's no good alternative for Revenger's Yuumi. So I want to see if he can find success inside of this game. Is going to pop the Ghost already. Super aggressive here, but is going to get landed with that hook. Remember, Spell Shield is not something that you have access to level 1, or not something at least that Key in this instance has access to. So a bit aggressive there and a pretty bad trade. Not going to lie.
I'm intrigued about this Sejuani clear here, going from red buff to, not red buff, blue buff to Wolves and then to Gromp. We could see a dive on this bot lane, as I'm not too familiar with clearing that way. Or yeah, I mean, just a very interesting, gonna need to watch out on this bot lane, and it could just be like a level 2 gank here.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're looking for. It's a good shout there, Claire. That's exactly what Sedge is going to look for here. Mandalorian is going to be heading into, or actually,
we lied.
Yeah, we lied. We just straight up lied to you. The wave is pushing in. This is a good dive angle. It's really good. I guess that something in the comms happened. They called it off, but it was a good look. Yeah, it's still a good shout there. Yeah, Key's level 1. This would have been a perfect dive, guys. Like, you just push in this wave. It's a free kill. What's a level 1 Sivir going to do? Can't get on my flame game here. They make the decisions. They're the players. I'm the caster. I react to what they're doing. But that's going to be maybe a missed opportunity, but nonetheless, still a really good start in the bot side for Anna Gamer Girl and Haya.
It's seeming in this top side, this trades are going over towards the Volibear, which, or at least in the early game, which is kind of what I expected to see, as Set isn't going to be too powerful until he gets some items up on the board, and just having a shield level 1 is so impactful, and, or like before first back is just incredibly exciting, but all of these lanes are just looking to favor Beans here. I don't think they all will be in the future, but early game presence is extremely important, but a gank to come up here from
First
Troll.
gank of the game. Smoke is dangerously low, but thankfully just in time, Troll on the Maokai is going to make their way into that top side and find the first blood. And I said X Factor could be the top lane. That's a good start for Ape. I also want to talk about this Sivir. Hai is going to go in here for a Flay, is going to be able to find it. Key's going to use the spell shield, but Yuumi just ends up blocking anyways. There is some synergy faulties here in the bot side, and Key will die. Revenger is 1 HP. Everything going the way of Anna and Haya at the moment. In the bot side, Mangalorean now in the mid lane, going to try and punish Kizak, who is going to flash away from the Sejuani, who flashed forward first. And that does mean that Kizak will be able to get out of it one alive with close to 0 mana. And that's going to be a plus for 8, but the bot side is looking horrific.
Yeah, no, it was so close. Revenger almost going down there to the hands of Anna Gamer Girl. She's going to be, that's a tough one. I was like 20 HP or something, and Kizak almost going down, but it is interesting to see how much, or like how impactful winning this lane here is early game, because you do feel so confident, but then you kind of just forget that, oh, there's junglers roaming around the map, and I can get ganked, and as I overstay, and there goes my entire lead, and now I'm farther behind, but needing to think about that, needing to keep that one in the back of the mind.
Yep, we do see it's going to be a trade. That's a pretty good short trade for Volibear. Going to see that happen a lot. It's actually traded back with the Haymaker from Smoke, and this could escalate into more of a potential fatal exchange here. Zexus is getting absolutely slapped around by the set, but I take it right back. What the hell was that burst? I just do not know ball when it comes to Volibear, man. That champ is insane. So much burst coming through. Thankfully, Troll... Actually, there is the ultimate available, and Zexus does have enough mana for this and will use it to get more HP, just waiting for that right moment to use it. Might just try and save it. I think it'd be pretty greedy not to use it. Is going to find that kill. Gonna get both. Absolute domination. Bouncing back from that first death is Zexus, and is going to be pivotal here for Beans in the top side.
Yeah, it's just this Volibear going just full AP here. Not deciding to go tank, not wanting to go, you know, more of a bruiser kind of build here. Just decided to go AP, getting that tome out, getting the Doran's ring. So, which is exciting to see. And just off of the back, it makes a lot of sense having that Thresh, having that Sejuani on the Rift with you. So, not needing those 3 tanks that might be a little bit overkill. And it could cause a lot of problems.
Comes through. Flay is going to land. Key is definitely going to die here. Going to use the spell shield, and Anna Gamer Girl with such patience waits it out and uses that piercing arrow at the right time. Double killed there for the Varus. And this is problems now, because on the top side you're losing for Ape. On the bot side you're losing. You're going to lose all the objectives too. It just got grubs for Beans there. You're going to start losing full here. So I'm in emergency mode right now if I'm Ape at the moment.
I mean, I am too. You need to get something here. Mid isn't... I guess mid is favoring you, and it might even favor you a little bit more here, but Ari, having that spirit... Is that what it's called? It's called Spirit Rush?
Yep, that's
okay.
right.
I was like, that sounds like something that's Kiriko's kit from Overwatch.
She rushes, and she's a spirit, maybe.
I guess so. It sounded right, but at the same time, I was like, is it? But yeah, there we are. But yeah, just so hard to gank on this Ari, which makes a lot of sense. Able to put more resources towards those side lanes, because your Ari can play a little bit more safe in this mid lane, and Ari is never really going to be your hyper carry champion, quite like a Varus is going to be. So smart play to come out of Beans is to know and see how they want to play this. And it seems that they're diffing a pretty hard right now, in like, or at least in the early game.
They are absolutely diffing them. It is an everything diff at the current moment. I mean, Troll has found some opportunities in the jungle to get some ganks, but overall, like we know, it's been beans all day long here. They do have quite the burst heavy composition. This is Lethality Varus. They have the Assassin in the mid lane with the Ahri, and they have a Glass Cannon Volibear build, which is focused around. I mean, there is DPS with the lethal tempo, but it's not really reliable when it comes to, like, let's say late game stuff. We don't know if there's going to be a late game because dragon stacking, grub stacking, lead and bot, lead and top is looking like a blowout, or is setting up for a blowout. If there was ever set up for a blowout, this would be it. The only problem that could happen here for Beans, if this does go later on, is you're going to kind of lack in the DPS department, whereas the side of Ape, they do have that Sivir. The question is, will they be able to get out of the hole that they're in right now? That is the goal for the side of Ape at the current moment. Just sort of evaluating the trends that we might see towards the later portions of this game.
This Volibear just doing so much poke damage here, not really getting attacked or getting too much damage because the set needs to do so much to deal damage to you, and this Volibear can be like, oh, I'm just gonna throw this Q or this W on top of you, and you're gonna take some damage. But Troll finding his way back up here, but we also see Mandalorian up here as well in a fight, probably gonna break out on this top side. Nature Scraps to go in, but not gonna find anything.
This is going to be a 2v2 that's going to break out, and Troll and Smoke know that this is not a fight that they want to take. Yeah, Zexus is too strong with another player there. Sejuani pairs so well with the melee champions to stack that permafrost. That's never a fight that they're going to win, and so they're going to have control of this river. The grubs are spawning in 36 seconds. 3 grubs already go over to Beans, and I'm sure that Ape is going to want to try to fight for this. The question is, do they even win the fight when there is such a big lead in the top side? There is a 22 CS lead for the Hui, but I'm not sure how much of that has been shopped yet. Like, if that gold has been spent and will be utilized before that fight actually happens. And maybe Haya will roam from the bot lane as well. So eyes on the grubs right now. That's the next thing to take a look at.
The grubs, I mean, Dragon already going over to the hands of Beans, which extremely important to get that first one up here. Grub's going to be the next contesting. They already have 3, so wanting to get their hands on at least 5, if not 6, or at least 4. Don't want to give equal numbers over to Ape, especially when you have such a commanding lead. And
He's going to start off. There's going to be the Volibear ultimate to come through. It's going to be onto Kizak. Snyderman trying to get aggressive onto Troll. Does miss the charm. This Hui is getting dangerously low. Does not have flash anymore. Zex is trying to finish off that last little bit, but does have to be careful because the Maokai has now joined the fight here. But Snyderman is rejoined with the Spirit Rush. That last hit will not find the kill. And now Smoke is on the flank here from the top side. But now in a 3 versus 1, can you get the shield for the Haymaker? Yes, you can. It does so much damage to Snyderman, and now you're going to use the ultimate to finish off the kill and the flash to get away from the Arctic Assault. It ends up being a 1-for-1, but will the grubs still go the way of Beans? It looks like it's going to do so with no contest here for Ape. So this looks like a successful play altogether for the Beans squad.
I just think that trade should have gone so much harder in Beans' favor. I am astounded that nobody else went down there. Everyone, like, on at least a bit of a quarter of an HP, maybe a bit less than that, but yeah, just gonna be this bot lane while this is happening, just wanting to farm, get these plays before they do expire. They are in quite the lead, especially on these blades here, and they only went over to Anna Gamer Girl, so this snowball on this Varus is just gonna be even harder. All of those resources going over to her. And Braids, you can finally see this is where Ahri gets a bit stronger when this first item comes out. A massive power spike that this Hui of all champions needs to be wary of. You are very squishy, and you don't really have a way to get out of dodge if you do find yourself in that scenario.
Yeah, and the bot lane, this is exactly what you want when you play Lethality Varus. You're more oriented to the early game. You fall off a little harder in the late stage. So having a lead like this is huge. You want to try, especially with 6 grubs, to get this tower move around the map, as Troll is going to be found out here by that sweeping ward. Going to go in onto Snyderman, who does have the Spirit Rush, is going to close the distance between themselves and the Maokai and get out to safety. I thought Troll was going to die there, actually, but ending up making the play, and it was going to be the escape from the Ahri, but nonetheless, they did actually live in that scenario. Now we're looking towards that next dragon of the game. 43 seconds on that Cloud Drake will be Drake number 2 if Beans can select or pick that one up for themselves. The death sentence will land combined with the Sejuani ultimate. They make the play happen inside of the mid lane. Troll is helpless to try and remedy this situation, and that's going to be another kill and probably a dragon as well.
And the engage on the side here of Beans is just so strong. Having that Sejuani, having that Thresh.
Oh, Revenger, you are caught out in the wrong area of the map for the moment. Chains of Corruption is going to hit as the Yuumi tries to join the Sivir there for safety. And Troll is trying to peel these players away from his carries, but he's not really doing a good job of it. Doing the best he can, but you really can't stop the onslaught that is Beans here in this game so far. Is the play going to continue? It doesn't look like it is. They're going to start up the dragon. And I think it looks like for the moment Ape is going to give this one away, but Troll is positioning around this so low he can't really do much. You have no flash, can't really get in the pit. You're gonna hope for like a miracle steal with a boomerang blade or something, but that's not going to happen. Second dragon goes to Beans.
And Beans just continuing to snowball their lead and finding these picks when I feel like Ape are just overextending, and they should know this, right? They are the top team in the league, or at least they're 2-0, but it's still something I feel like they should be taking into consider. But Beans is just showing up, and they're coming here to play today, and they look so confident. Just walking into that bush, that
Zexus finds a trade. This will potentially, no, there's a ward there. But yeah, I think you're right, Claire. Like, Ape is supposed to be... It is only 2 games into this season, so 2 games isn't a whole lot. Maybe we were misled, but it does seem like Beans has made some adjustments, and some adjustments for the better at that, because they look excellent inside of this game. Troll, oh, why did you cancel that recall? You were out, but now you are in, whether you like it or not. The fight's going to break out. Haya is getting a little bit low, and it's going to be Keith that's going to put in the auto attack to try and finish this one off, but the death sentence will land, and Haya will flash away. He should be able to find the kill. The boomerang blade won't land, and that's actually not going to be it, but they will be able to find actually 2 kills. No, Haya continues to live on 1 HP, but the Varus does fall, and that is going to be a shutdown. Mandalorian is going to try and finish off this Sivir. The Yuumi does finish off the Thresh in the sniper shot there in the mid lane. We see a 1v1 as well. It ends up resulting in both members going down, and Mandalorian should win this 1v1 against the Yuumi. No way for that cat on a book to win the 1v1 against the lady on the boar, and that was a bloody exchange. But the shutdown goes on to the Sivir. So I favor Ape in that one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And it was just trades left and right. The Hui and the Ari both being mages, just having those abilities up after they die. And it was a 1-for-1 trade for them. But both of them getting their items up, seeing this power spike to come up. But it is going to be this Volibear to maybe not want to be in this scenario. And
they're around the Rift Herald. Zexus wants to fight. He's so strong right now. He's saying to his team, guys, let's fight around me. I can start taking some people out for the squad. And Smoke is going to be the first of those people. Does he have the Haymaker? No, he does not. Going to drop very swiftly. Troll is the next target. Charm is going to land. Snyderman setting up that one. 2 for 0 in favor of Beans on the top side of the map. And they will be able to get that Rift Herald.
Rift Herald to come up. Another objective going into their hands. And that's going to be just another one to stack on top of all of the other ones that we've seen in this game. All grubs going to their favor, all dragons as well. And it's going to be a Hextech Soul first turret to go down to Zexus, and makes a lot of sense. This Volibear not playing tank, so going to be a little bit harder to split push successfully, but you are still pretty fast. You can get out of a lot of scenarios, and you are pretty tanky still with that shield that you can get. But this is the Sejuani. That is what I'm really looking at here. A 6-0 there. A 600 gold bounty on your head, so gonna need to be safe, be careful, not want to give that over, especially not to the Sivir, and I think that is kind of their only way back in if the Sivir can somehow get incredibly strong, because they aren't really a tanky team comp, but it's still...
Yeah, the Sejuani needs to... It's hard to say the Sedge needs to be careful with the bounty on her head, because she is that frontline unit for the Beans team composition. So you need to get into the front of the lines. You need to tank a lot of damage, and naturally that is going to put you at risk of dying and giving over that bounty. So that's going to have to be a hurdle that Beans is going to have to overcome. They need to work their way around that, make sure that if they are going to give over that bounty in a fight, it's a really good fight that results in an objective for them, 5 dead, an ace, towers, all that good stuff. So that's something that Beans is going to be thinking of. But Thornmail completed on top of a Sunfire Aegis. That Sedge is very tanky. So death might not even be something that they're afraid of at the current moment with how strong that Sedge is. There's a reason there's a 600 gold bounty. Now Haya is going to find out Troll inside of the jungle, who is going to take the Blast Cone over the wall here. And there is set up for this Hextech Drake, and a fight is going to break out. Troll is going to jump onto Haya, who is going to find Anna Gamer Girl with that Nature's Grasp. And now here comes the Sejuani plus the Ari Snyderman joining up this play with Mangalorean. They're tanking up in the front line for the moment. Yuumi going to use that ultimate, and Key is now unleashed with the Ghost, with the Sivir ultimate, and that Yuumi movement speed. It ends up resulting in a 0-for-0. No one dropping just yet. The Dragon is still alive. Fights breaking out in mid. But Mangalorean's low. So this could actually be a Hextech Drake going the way of Ape, which does stop the stacking for Beans, which would be a huge play for them and be something that would really help them come back in this game. And it looks like with the channeled recall, that's exactly what they're going to do, is get that dragon.
It makes a lot of sense to give that over, and really no ultimates were up for them there. Volibear had his, but it's just so rough to get into there and not have anything else. Your jungler was kind of low. It makes a lot of sense. You're still up quite heavily.
Lands, Troll's going to be in trouble. The engage does happen underneath the turret, but there is smoke tanking right in their face and uses the Haymaker to drop Haya there. We're seeing some signs of life for Ape, and they're just deciding to fight back. They're getting the dragons, and they're making the plays happen, even if it's them that's being engaged on. They're making the most of it there, 1-for-0.
Yeah, and a big flash for Smoke to get out of there. And it's looking like they're a lot stronger here later into the game, which makes a lot of sense. I did think
Sexus gonna get caught on the same spot, but is it Troll that's going to drop? Nature's Grasp comes through. Yeah, that's just it's getting pretty mixy out there. And again, they're landing a charm here in the mid lane as well. Is this going to turn into something fatal, or are they just fighting and it looks like something is going to be really big here? It turns out to be a 0-for-0, but tensions are building in this game, and there's another objective bounty for 8.
I'm just kind of shocked that we're not seeing Zexes more towards that side lane. I mean, they have 6 scrubs. I feel like that's such a just an impactful role that needs to be filled that no one on this team is filling at the moment. And I would love to see that happen. Obviously, the tier 1s are coming up. It would have made more sense for them kind of go towards that bot lane since that tier 1 is still up, but still pressuring that tier 2 is not at all a bad idea. And nothing is really on the map that can be contested at the moment. Baron really can't be contested by anyone unless there's a team fight one somewhere else. And I can't imagine that Beans would want to try their best to just take that, or maybe fake that they're taking it and show nobody on the map. That could also be a play, but not too sure what they're thinking. But just look at this Volibear run after this set so fast, and
yeah, a lot of pressure is being applied by the Volibear. Does with the 1v1 against the set, and that's a good shout there from Claire. You talk about how strong his Volibear is. Not so much strong in the team fights because you're squishy. You need to get in that 1v1 situation against the set, but you don't want it to turn into a 2v1. And Troll is thinking, hey, let's turn this into a 2v1. I'm going to flash forward. I'm going to get that root down, and we're going to try and pursue this Volibear. But the ultimate does come through. The Nature's Grasp does not quite land, and Mangalorean is here to back up his top laner, and it will not result in any kills. Anna Gamer Girl has finally migrated over to this mid lane and is forced to use the flash plus the ultimate to get away from Key, who was looking like they were going to go for a solo kill in tandem with Revenger on his back. The Yuumi there providing the Sivir with that extra power. And Sivir has priority over this lane so much because of her wave clear with Static Shiv, with her W, with her Q. It makes it hard for Varus to get mid-prio and make plays. So this is dangerous right now for Beans. That Sivir is scaling. The CS lead is closed, and all they really have to do is wait for her to come online 3-4 items, and then we'll have a ball game. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what we were talking about earlier is that Bean's definitely looking a lot more favored into that early game, but, I mean, once we get to this mid/late game, Ape is just gonna come online so hard, and it is catching Beans a little bit off guard, and this is exactly what the Sivir shines here.
And here comes Snyderman, gonna land the charm, and that's gonna land a death sentence as well, and it's that priority target. It is that Sivir, but they do have flash, and Smoke is gonna find the kill onto Haya. Mangalorean tanking up. We do have a shutdown in the bot side as well. Hui found a solo kill onto Volibear. The Haymaker will land. That's 900 gold going the way of the set on top of the other 2 kills. A triple for Smoke. It's a disaster for Beans, and they might just lose Baron because of that. Anna, the only one left alive.
The gold lead shifting over into Ape's favor. What are you gonna do here? Baron gonna go down, pressure just shifting all into the favor of Ape here. And it's not what you want to see at all, just a bad fight after kind of a bad fight. And that's what's gonna happen to you. Beans getting completely taken off guard and needing to fight from behind now.
And that's not where they want to be. Remember, this is Lethality Varus, doesn't get much stronger. You're kind of at a static strength for the entirety of the game, and there really isn't a win con for them anymore. They don't have a lot of DPS. Volibear is not a reliable DPS threat against Ape because he's so squishy and he's a melee champion. Sivir's going to have no problem kiting away from him with the Yuumi on her back. This is a problem that a lot of people run into when they play aggressive early game comps. They find the kills, they find the leads. It's just translating that, which is so difficult. Sivir has permanent prio with her wave clear. It's hard to find plays, and more often than not, you end up just overstepping because you're uncertain about what to do, and then you get punished for that. And I think that's exactly what we've seen here, and that's exactly how Ape has shown great composure and come back in this game. We talked about it. They're a top team, and looks like they're faltering here, but part of the qualities of a top team is being able to handle adversity and come back. So the game isn't over yet, but we're seeing good stuff here from Ape so far, as now Zexus tries to run down the Hui, trying to get revenge after that 1v1, but you are way overextended here. Kizak is going to flash away from the bear, and you're making another mistake here. You can't take that Hex Gate out of there. Gonna ult over the wall, and actually could prove to be a worthy distraction while the rest of his team takes this Hextech Drake. They're going to use the Sivir ultimate to try and get there in time, but the smite comes through for Mangalorean. Will the fight break out? Kizak's going to fight Zexus between the turret and find that kill. The ensuing fight around the Dragon Pit will continue. The box will slow down the rest of Ape as they try and pursue the rest of the Beans members. Snyderman now going to commit the ultimate. Excellent death sentence will prevent Troll from finding the root, and the disengage is in. 3 Drakes now for Beans.
And Beans, I mean, that's kind of their win condition here. They are 4k gold down. They were up this entire time, but they got so many objectives here earlier into the game that it is kind of their saving grace here. They don't have the Baron, which is going to result in them getting their waves pushed in pretty heavily, but it does make it a bit easier to farm and hopefully get back into this one. That tier 1 is going to go down into mid, but it is just, I mean, I don't really think this engage can really do too much. I don't think it has any legs. The follow-up is just nowhere. Mangalorean does
has to get out with the lantern. Yeah, it's looking rough. Exactly like you said, that engage, you don't really have damage anymore, do you? Like, you have some burst with Ahri and Volibear if you find the right targets and you find, like, let's say a death sentence or a charm, but after that, there's no DPS on this team. They are not a threat at all. Troll isn't going to die. Smoke isn't going to die. And you know what? Even Key is not going to die because Yuumi makes an ADC deceptively tanky. And that's even if you can get onto this Sivir. Things are starting to escalate very much in favor of Ape and out of the favor of Beans. They just need to continue to push these lanes, get that standing gold on the map, and then we have pretty much the same situation we had last game, where it was Sky Splitters that was so far ahead of Orange OnlyFans, and they're constantly getting the wave prio. They're going to be able to get first step to these dragons and these barons. We might just be seeing a repeat. It's just the beginning that was a little bit different.
Yeah, I would definitely say that Ape right now is in the driver's seat of this game, but I definitely think Beans has the ability to come back into this one if they do just have a good team fight engage with everyone. They don't, I mean, as you keep saying, they don't really have the damage, or at least not nearly as much as Ape does here, but it is still kind of scary. If this virus can get onto the right targets of that Hui, of that Sivir, and take down that backline before anything else happens, it is definitely winnable. But that's just a lot to ask out of that virus, especially since to get in that position is so incredibly hard. To cut through that Maokai, to cut through that set is asking a lot of them. But, I mean, objectives coming up here soon, about in a minute 50 till Baron, and about 2 minutes until this dragon sets up. But
Mandalorian gonna try. And Key is just going to dodge away from that one and say, I'm good, man. You can't really stop me. But Keyzak, on the other hand, is going to drop. Going to try and go for the 1v1 against the Volibear. It doesn't end up working out, and that is a shutdown that goes the way of Zexus as well, as Key now flashing forward, getting so aggressive. The confidence is there. It is Revenger to find that kill. It's a 1-for-1 across the map, and Zexus will continue to push down in the bot side as the push will continue in the mid lane for 8, but they can't really find the tower just yet. Snyderman is going to commit the ultimate to get this wave to drop, and so that they don't lose their first inhibitor turret, and Zexus will find that tier 2 in the bot side. Charm is not going to land. Is there going to be any more that they're going to look for here? Dragon up in a minute 30, so not really any of their worries for the moment. The base will stay intact, so Beans, they stay alive, and they get something for themselves in the top side.
Getting something, getting back into this game. It's just such a rough game here. This Baron is going to be coming up. I would kind of imagine the setup to come up soon. I don't know if Ape would like to do this at the start of when it spawns, but it's definitely something they could think about. Force the hands of Beans here in Mandalorian.
They found Mandalorian in the Raptor Pit. He's going to have to flash towards the enemy base. Is now very low. Look how much damage Key's going to be able to do to that Sejuani now. Turning that Sedge HP bar into paper, but Troll could be overextended. Did go in on the flank, but there's no teammates here to help him out. Is going to be able to find the 1-for-1 at the very least. The hook landed from Haya onto the set. Is Troll going to be able to walk themselves away out of this one? It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. As Zexus is getting burnt down by the set and the Sivir. Look at the damage coming through from the AD carry of Ape. We talked about the late game. That's just going to be the end of the game, I think, Claire.
Yeah, Mandalorian going in way too far, just for no reason to go back in to try to fight Troll. But, here we are. The base is getting absolutely torn to shreds, and that's what's going to happen if you step over your boundaries a little bit. And here goes down the Nexus turret, and here comes the Nexus as Ape mounts this comeback and just kept themselves in the game until they knew that they reached their power spike, and deservedly so. They win the game here.
And yeah, the turning point was that play that they made near that mid lane tier 3 turret, which translated into a Baron. So much bounty gold was put onto Smoke that basically propelled him to even strength with Zexus. And the scaling for Sivir was in. They didn't utilize their Varus to the potential that they needed to use it. They needed to use him to leverage a lead and use it so that Sivir could never come back, and they just weren't able to do that. They weren't able to convert, and Ape was able to keep their composure despite a rough early game on multiple ends of Summoner's Rift, and still come out with a W and remain undefeated here at Odyssey Season 1. So what an incredible end to that game. I wasn't really expecting that. And that will end up concluding game number 2, and that will conclude week number 4. So before we sign off for the night and for the week, Claire, is there anything you want to say to the people watching tonight and to the players just before we sign off?
I mean, I think that all of these games, like especially for the rest of the season, can go either way. We saw this one just not being able to secure the win there, but it was still incredibly close. And especially that first game, it wasn't as close, but I think all of these teams have a fighting chance in every single one of these games. And I think that's what makes this so incredibly exciting. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the producers of Drubert. Very cool, very fun. And yeah, that's all I got, but
Cool. Yeah. Again, just like Claire said, thank you to Drubert, who is doing the observing behind the scenes. There were troubles last week, and fortunately, Drubert, with the help of Mipa and maybe some other people as well, were able to overcome those challenges and bring us a stream with caster audio. So props to them for doing that. And I'm grateful for a successful stream this week, and happy that those watching the stream could come out and watch these 2 exciting games. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week there for week number 5. So that's going to do it for us today on the stream. Hope you have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.